If you have a big interview coming up and you want to nail it, here are 8 tips that I use that I recommend everyone use to stand out in the interview process. In the last 3 years of my corporate career, I've interviewed for well over 15 jobs and gotten offers from all of them using these tips. Interviewing itself is a skill. These tips aren't made up by me, they're not original, they are simply from mentors a whole lot smarter and more successful than I am. Quick background, before I started doing this full time, I was in corporate America in a private equity consulting job making well over $100,000 a year for a job on paper I was not qualified for, but in the interview process I was able to set myself apart and obtain the role. Number 1, dress the part. Even if it's remote, you'd be amazed how many people fold and show up underdressed to an interview. This is one of the easiest ways to set yourself apart in a process. I never showed up in anything less than a button-down and blazer. Even if I knew the interviewing managers were going to be dressed significantly under that, it is always better to be over than underdressed. Number 2, don't be desperate. Carry yourself with the energy that you are competent and qualified for the role, but you don't need the job. A desperate energy is a repellent energy, and people do pick up on energies. A good tip I got from a sales training a long time ago was walk around like you have $1 million in your pocket. If you act like and carry yourself in a way that you don't need the business or job, you are more likely to get the business or job. Number 3, do your research on the company and the people interviewing you if you know who it's going to be. Find a way to tie in questions and comments and small talk that shows you've done your research. It's impressive and it shows you take the opportunity seriously. Number 4, bring copies of your resume, preferably in a nice leather-bound padfolio. Go to Staples or OfficeMax and spend $15 on a nice padfolio. Even though they probably already have your resume at this point, it's nice to have a couple copies that you can pull out and they can reference for the interview. Number 5, be articulate. Don't use filler words like, you know. Speak clearly and concisely with confidence. Remember, speaking with clarity and conviction is perceived by those who hear it as competence and confidence. Don't forget that. Number 6, come prepared with stories, specifically stories of how you've been able to add value in real, tangible, hard numbers and figures at your previous roles. An easy thing for me, being in a sales position, was to talk about how much revenue I had generated in a period of time for the company. If you have deliverables or things you've built that have added value to the company, be prepared to reference them. Number 7, be early. I don't need to explain this one. Just show up 15 minutes early, not 2 minutes before the interview. Number 8, probably my favorite and the most important piece of this, be prepared with questions. When the interviewer asks, do you have any questions for us? You better have questions. It's a huge red flag if you say, no, I'm all good. And make sure they're good questions. Here are some of my favorites. The high performer question. You're probably going to interview a lot of candidates and people who can do the job, but in your opinion, what does the high performer look like? This is going to do a lot for you. Number 1, it's going to show the interviewer that you care and you're curious about what they think. It's also going to give you the opportunity to learn exactly what they're looking for in a high performer, and then you have a chance to better align your qualities, skills, and features with this high performer. They are literally going to tell you exactly what they're looking for in this question, and you can just match it. Question number 2. What keeps you at this company? Was there sort of an aha moment or anything that made you realize you were in a place you wanted to be long term? This is more likely to provoke a candid, honest response from the person interviewing you on their take on the company, which is going to allow you to identify whether or not it's a fit for you as a worker. Remember, you don't just have to be a fit for the company, they have to be a fit for you. Next, it's going to give the interviewer the opportunity